based on the evidence that we've seen, and based on statement that we've heard, we've seen several occurrences, and Mrs. Holness was speaking in her capacity as a member of parliament in East Rural St. Andrew, where she has come across several communities where persons were encouraged in a previous period to occupy lands which were vulnerable. But I think the bigger point that Mrs. Holness was trying to make is the importance of leadership. And I think the reason that conversation is important, and I'll use one example. There were heavy rains in Bull Bay, and people were living almost in the river. The government said, we want to move you, we want to find somewhere for you to live. The leader of the opposition leader said that the people don't want relocation, they want assistance. We've seen in Bernard Lodge where we had evidence and we had to take it to the highest level, the National Security Council, because we had evidence that an organized criminal network was selling government lands to some unsuspecting, some naive persons. The leader of the opposition went there and said he's going to provide legal assistance against who? We saw it in Westmoreland, where the court ruled that the persons occupying the land were illegal occupiers. It came from even the murder of the original owner of the property, and the family took the case to court. The leader, the opposition leader, again went there, saying that the people had a right to the land, even though the court ruled. So leadership, we have two different types of leadership in Jamaica today. We have a leadership that seems to be going back to the Operation Pride style era of housing, where persons are encouraged to occupy land that does not belong to them, and then they get the cover of their political leaders. And then we have leadership that says we're a country of rules and laws. We have built and started more housing units than any other government in the history of Jamaica. So the question about whether the government cares about poor people and housing is really relevant. The question now is, how do we as a government structure our housing policy where persons who are vulnerable can be regularized, persons who have been put in these positions can be regularized. Some of them cannot be regularized, but they live in a riverbed. And if the government, let's say, gives some of the persons in Bedford Gardens who were encouraged to squat there in the riverbed, if the government says, we're going to give you a title, then the government has now assumed responsibility if something should happen to them. But the bigger point is, it's about the leadership and the difference in leadership